what it entails, the time slots, and tips to be able to scale through. Hi guys, how are you all doing? Welcome to another video. Yay! If you're watching one of my videos for the first time, my name is Atineke, and on this channel I basically share tips and hacks about lifestyle, career, motherhood, immigration, anything I think will be beneficial to anyone out there. I share on my channel. So welcome. And if you're a returning subscriber or a returning viewer, thank you for sticking with me, and I'm really hoping that you guys will keep sticking with me. Anyway, let's get on to today's video. I'll be sharing what so many people have asked me and what I've actually thought long and hard about, and it is how to pass your IELTS in one sitting. I know it's a topic I've actually been thinking of for a while, because the truth is that it is a very tedious topic and I have thought long and hard before actually putting this out, because it takes a lot of work. And you guys, this is why I have to say this now. You guys need to subscribe to my channel, because I am dishing out gold. And if I'm dishing out gold and you guys are not paying me, the least you can do is subscribe to my channel. So please, once you're done with this video, or even before you watch this video, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, okay? All right, let's go on with this video. Now, another thing I just thought of is, before you guys ask me why I am qualified to actually do this video, let me let you know. I am not proud, but on 2 separate occasions I have done the IELTS, and it was not because I failed the first one. It was because I didn't know I needed a UK VI. It was back then, so I didn't know I needed a UK VI, so I just took the regular one, and by the time I discovered I was supposed to, then I had to take another one. But on both occasions I had 8.5/9 overall. So you can say I am qualified to explain to you guys how to pass your IELTS in one sitting, because I've done it, and I've done it twice, so it wasn't a fluke. Now let's get on to today's video. For IELTS, for those that don't know, there are generally 4 sections. So you've got the listening section, the speaking section, the writing section, and the reading section. Now we have 2 types of IELTS. You have the academic IELTS and you have the general IELTS. So even if you're doing UK VI or the non-UK VI, it's going to be either general or academic, aside the life ones and the other types. But the general and the academic ones are the major ones that you use for immigration. So today I'll be talking about all the parts of IELTS: the reading section, the listening, the speaking, and the writing sections, and what is expected of you, what it entails, the time slots, and tips to be able to scale through. Now the first one is speaking. For your speaking test, it takes about 11 to 13 minutes to go through this, and it's divided into 3 parts. The first one, you can call that like the short run. That takes about 4 to 5 minutes. In the first part, the examiner will be asking you questions about your life, your everyday life, asking you about yourself, about your work, about your home, your parents, your siblings, things like that. So it will be a question about your everyday life and lifestyle. It will take about 4 to 5 minutes. The second one, the part 2, will be like more of a long run. In here, they'll be talking about things generally around you, things like arts, things like schooling, things about competition, hobbies, sports, general things that you can see or experience around you. This will take you about 3 to 4 minutes, and you'll be given a cue card where you have 1 minute to think about what you want to say, and then you have 2 to 3 minutes to talk. So you be given one topic and you talk for 2 to 3 minutes. The third one will be in reference to the second one, where you'll be asked to form an opinion about what you've talked about in the second part. So if, for instance, you talked about sports in the second part, in the third part you'll be talking more about it, what you actually feel about it, not what you've experienced, but what your thought is about the topic in number 2. So pretty much that is what your speaking is all about. Now, what do the examiner look out for in the speaking? They look out for your pronunciation. How do you pronounce your words? They want to actually see that you can pronounce word properly. The second one is your fluency, and that is why I advise people, you don't need to actually form any accent. Just speak clearly, because you don't want to jumble everything together. The third one is your grammar, and the fourth one is your vocabulary. So for your speaking, you need a lot of practice. Now, the first thing I know worked for me was practicing. Try and carve out about 1 to 2 hours every day to actually speak, and speak only in English language. Now, whatever your native language is, at least 1 to 2 hours a day, make sure you're speaking only English. Speak with your friends, with your family members, speak to yourself. Even if you don't have anybody to talk to, speak to yourself. Now you have like the materials already, because I linked some of the materials in my previous video, but if you don't have it, I can also link it in this video. So practice what you want to talk about. Say for instance, pick a topic like art or sports and keep talking about it. Anything you can think about, but talk about it in English to yourself, to your loved ones. That way you have a general thought, so that if they ask you something about it, you know what to say. So look for common, because the truth is you can't actually predict what exactly you'll be asked, what topic you'll be asked. But look for general topic like art, lifestyle, movies, books, and form a thought about it, so that when they ask you a question, you're able to, talk about it because you have something to say. It's not like coming to you as a surprise. So make sure you're prepared. Being prepared is like the major part of IELTS. Even if you're like an English guru, you still have to prepare properly for IELTS. Now another thing is speak properly in your accents. You don't need to go for trying to speak like a foreign accent that you've not even tried before. You most likely fumble. So just speak in your own accent. They are not really concerned about your accent. Like I said earlier, they're concerned about how fluent you are, how you're able to pronounce your word, how you use your grammar properly. So if you speak in your own accent and you're clear and you're fluent, you'll be fine. You'll get a good score in your speaking. Another important part to note for your speaking is elaborating. Now, these questions are not questions you can answer yes or no to. So if they ask you a question like, where do you work? You can't just say, oh yeah, I'm a nurse. You can't just keep it at that. You have to actually talk about it. Now, like I said, each one has like allocated time slots. You can speak for like 2 to 3 minutes, and then the examiner will tell you, oh, that's fine. They'll stop you if you keep going on. So try and elaborate as much as possible. Talk about it. Anything you can think about, talk about it, and give yourself time to actually think before you talk. You don't want to go on and start saying rubbish. So give yourself the time to think and then talk. The truth is, if you keep practicing every day and you have a general idea of what you'll be doing for part 1, for part 2, for part 3, you'll be fine. So it's basically about knowing what you'll be saying and actually saying it properly for the exam. Now that is that for speaking. Let's talk about listening. For listening, you have 40 minutes. For that 40 minutes, you have 30 minutes where you actually listen to a tape, an MP3 tape, and then they give you an extra 10 minutes to transfer your answer if you've not done that, if you're like probably putting it in like a jotting part or something. So for that 30 minutes, they would play an MP3 file for you. You have to note that this would not be replayed. Once it's played through, that is it. So whatever you don't pick up, you have lost. So you have to listen very carefully. They would give you a set of questions and they would talk about it in the MP3 file. So once they talk about something, if you don't get the answer, move on to the second question. That's probably gone. Sometimes your brain actually like stores things, because I remember that happened to me when I was doing my IELTS. I thought I did not get the answer for like the first question, and then I moved on to the second one and third one, and by the time I got to the third one, when I'd written that question and I had extra time, I just remember that, oh yeah, I can actually remember what the answer is for the first one, and I went back to write it. But don't waste your time, because the truth is, if you waste your time trying to remember what is said in the first question and the second question, you're missing out on the third and the fourth and the fifth one, and then it all becomes so jumbled that you actually miss the whole thing. So if you're not sure what was said in the first question, move on to the next one. So at least if you're missing out one question, it's better than actually missing out like 5-10 questions. Also for listening, another tip I can give you guys is practicing your listening skills. Now you can go on YouTube and listen to different accents, because the truth is they use different accents ranging from American to British to Australian to Canadian accent, because IELTS works for all these countries. So go on YouTube, Google like Canadian lecture or a British lecture or Australian lecture, any talk that is being said in these different accents. Listen to it, and that way you are able to listen and assimilate what someone else is saying in an accent that is different from yours. I don't know if you understand that. It's just a way of listening to a new accent and being able to grasp what they're saying, because listening is basically about listening to what is being said and being able to answer questions based on what is being said. So listening is actually the simplest part of the whole IELTS thing. When I did my listening, then I had 9, which is 9 over 9. So the truth is, if you can actually be calm don't panic, because when you panic, when you start panicking, you start missing things. Listen, be calm, and try to listen as much as you can and answer the questions. I remember there was a boy that was tapping his feet while I was doing the exam, and it was getting me kind of distracted. Try and avoid distraction as much as possible. Put your head, because most likely you would have an headphone on, because that's what they usually give them. So you have your headphone on, listen as much as possible, and try to grasp every single answer to every single question. You'll be fine with listening. So we've talked about listening, we've talked about speaking. Let's talk about reading. Now, the listening and speaking part is the same for IELTS academic, and it is the same for IELTS general. Now, for reading and writing, it is different. For reading, you'll be given 40 questions. I think you have about 60 minutes for your reading section. Now, for reading, it's basically you know what you did when you were in secondary school or high school, where you're given like a comprehension, and then you have to answer based on the comprehension you've given. You have to answer questions. Now, the first tip for reading is read your instructions very carefully, because I know most people just tend to jump to the reading passage and just start reading and start answering the question. You want to know what they're asking for. Sometimes they'll ask you to, say if it is true or false or not given, but you want to make sure you actually know what the instruction is. So please read the instructions very carefully to actually know what answer you're giving. Another useful tip for reading is improving your reading skills. Now, how do you improve your reading skills? You have to actually read books. There's no way you can avoid reading books if you want to pass the reading part of your IELTS. So grab a novel, grab a newspaper, grab a journal, grab a magazine, just read. So for skimming, you want to have like a basic idea of the whole text. You want to know what they're talking about. If you're talking about airplanes, they're talking about journals, they're talking about life, whatever they're talking about, you want to have a general idea. So that's what you do when you skim. Your skimming should not take you more than 1 to 2 minutes. Just quickly skim through the page, know what they're talking about. You're not reading to enjoy it. You're not reading to understand. You're just reading to get a general idea. Then the next thing is speed reading. So for speed reading, I just quickly I've done the skim. I know what the general idea is. Then I want to actually do like a more thorough reading, but not that thorough. What I'm doing the speed reading is, I want to be able to underline any keywords I see, because these keywords would help you answer questions. So if you see any word that looks interesting, just underline. Why? This would help your scanning. Now, once you've underlined all the keywords, you want to move on to scanning. Now, scanning is you're quickly looking down at the questions. Okay, what are the question types? What are they asking? And seeing if you can, with your eyes, find them in the text. And that is why you underline the keywords. So you want to be able to skim, you want to be able to do a speed reading, and you want to be able to scan. That is what I used, and that is what worked for me. That way, once you get to your question, you already have a general idea where the answer is, and then you just go back, do like a more thorough reading of that part so that you can answer your questions properly. Now, also the way you answer your question matters. Sometimes they'll give you like a number of words to use. They can say, okay, just use 3 words for your answer. If they say use 3 words, do not use not more than 3 words. Do not use more than 3 words, because that is an automatic miss for that particular question if you use more than 3 words. So if you say not more than 3 words, it means you can use 1, 2, or 3 words. So basically that is all you need to know for your reading. You're reading the comprehension and you're answering the questions. I think there are 2 or 3 comprehension. I can't really remember exactly now, but you would have comprehensions and you'd answer. That is what you need to know for reading. Now let's talk about the final one, which is writing. Personally, for me, I really enjoy the writing part of IELTS, but I know it's person dependent. Some people like the writing part, some people like the reading part. I think I preferred the writing part, and I had 8.5/9 in writing. Now, how did I achieve this? Let's talk about the aspects of writing and then tips to passing your writing part of the IELTS. Now, for writing, you have 2 tasks. For academic, the first one would probably be a pie chart, a bar chart, some kind of chart where you'll be asked to interpret the chart. So they give you some values, and then they tell you to explain that chart or explain that graph that you've been given in 150 words. That is for academic. For general, you'll probably be writing a letter. It would also be 150 words. Now they actually count these words. I think you count it per line. So if you have like 8 or 9 words in a line, multiplied by the number of lines you've written to achieve 150 words. So it's not like you have to count it, one thing, because you don't even have the time. You have 20 minutes for task 1 and 40 minutes for task 2. Generally, they just give you 60 minutes for the whole writing. You can decide to share it however you want, but ideally, you should have 20 minutes for task 1 and then 40 minutes for task, because task 2 is longer. So task 1, 150 words. Task 2 is 250 words. And for task 2, I keep saying task 2. For task 2, you'll be asked to write an essay. So most times they'll give you a topic. It's always like a debate. So they give you a topic and they tell you to either agree or disagree or both. Sometimes they'll just say, do you agree on this particular topic? Let's say education has done more harm than good to the society. To what extent do you agree? So then you give your points on why education has actually done more harm than good. Sometimes they'll say talk about both sides of this. So our education has done harm and our education has done good to the society. So that's why you have to read your questions very carefully. So once you read your question, try and form a thought in your mind about what you want to write. Don't just start, pick your pen and start writing. Try and think of it. What do I want to write? How do I want to divide it into paragraphs? Now for IELTS writing, they look at different things. The first one is your task achievements. Have you done what you've been asked to do? If they ask you to interpret a bar graph, did you interpret it correctly? That's the first thing they would check. The second one is your coherence and cohesion. So this basically means how you've been able to form your words and make it understandable, make them see the meaning of what you're saying. Say for instance, they say, okay, interpret this bar graph, and then you're talking about one thing and talking about the other one, and it's not forming like a coherent thought, it's not forming something sensible. Yeah, let's say it that way. So are you making sense? That's basically what they're saying. So they want to see if what you've written that actually makes sense. Another thing is your vocabulary, and then another one is your grammar. How are you connecting your words, your prepositions, your conjunctions, when you should be using adverbs and adjectives, are you using it properly? That's what they look at. So all these things are actually what you can achieve if you practice. The major part of IELTS, the number one tip is practice. Anybody can achieve any score, but you have to practice as much as possible. So that's everything. I really hope this video has been helpful for you guys. I just thought to put something together for IELTS, because so many people are asking me to help them, because some people don't even have an idea on what the whole exam is about. So I just thought to put this together. And if you think this video is useful, don't forget to share with friends and family. Give this video a thumbs up, like this video, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. If you guys have any questions about IELTS or anything pertaining to this topic, let me know in the comment section and I'll be happy to reply you. I'll see you guys in another video. Take care. Bye bye.